What's up, fiends? Alucard here. Today we are going to talk about Dark Tales from Channel X. Alright, so Dark Tales from Channel X, I received this through HorrorPack. It is HorrorPack Limited Edition Blu-ray number 73. It is an anthology movie, came out in the year 2020. As far as I know, this is the only physical copy of the movie that's been released so far. So if you did get HorrorPack, you have it. So like I said, it was released in the year 2020 by Mass Grave Pictures, and it stars Michelle Nunez as Cassie and Angie Hansen in 3 different roles. So overall, there's 8 stories told here, including the wraparound story. So I'm counting the wraparound story as one of the 8. So the wraparound story starts with this babysitter named Cassie, and she arrives for like a last minute babysitting gig, but she's preoccupied with her phone. She walks in and she's all not paying attention to the parents and stuff. It's actually kind of funny. And the parents leave her money for pizza, etc., etc. So she ends up ordering pizza with the money, and her phone dies, and she doesn't have the right plug to charge it. And she goes looking around for a plug, but she can't find one. So she ends up in the garage looking for wires and whatnot, and she ends up finding this old CRT TV. And she turns it on, and she's greeted by a guy named the Viewer. Now, the Viewer has all the I don't remember if it's mask or if it's painted, but it looks like he's there in like corpse paint, kind of thing. If you know what I'm talking about with all the metal guys. And he's like, "Welcome to the void," blah blah blah, and his voice is all muffled and garbled and stuff. We end up getting to our first story. First story is called Sleepless. It's about a guy who wakes up at 2:37 a.m. Nice little nod there to The Shining, I think. And he starts hearing growling. And so he gets to go check it out, and it's like this weird, like Jawa-looking creature. And I'm not going to tell you anything else about that one because there's not a whole lot to it. So then we jump to the next story called The Au Pair. And this one is about a guy named David. He's sitting there watching TV. His wife's in the kitchen cooking dinner. And they have a baby monitor, so they have a newborn. And baby starts crying. So the wife looks at the baby monitor and she sees David get up and get the baby and hold it and stuff. And she's like, "Oh, that's so nice." And so she goes back to David, who's sitting there watching TV, and she's like, "Oh, that was really nice what you did with the baby, blah blah blah." And he's like, "What?" Yeah. So you can kind of see where that one goes. So now we cut back to the Cassie story. She's checking in on the kids to make sure, like after she watches the thing with the baby monitor, she kind of goes and checks on the kids, make sure they're okay. Thought that was kind of funny. All right, so now we cut to the third story, which is called Knock Knock. About these 2 different girls in 2 different hotel rooms, and they keep hearing a knock, and there's nobody at the door. And that's literally the whole story. So now we cut back to Cassie, and the doorbell rings, and of course it's the pizza guy. So I kind of like how the stories correlate to what's happening to Cassie. I don't know. That's it. It's kind of neat. It's not really with the first story, but like the rest of them they kind of slowly. Yeah, I thought that was a neat little touch. All right, so now we cut to the 4th story called M is for Mastectomy. This one is actually really interesting. This is about a woman. She keeps changing her clothes in front of this mirror. She's like, she's all crying and she's having a real hard time. And anyway, she ends up having. We find out that she's had a mastectomy. And so she has all these like sewn up wounds around her breast and stuff, uh, and it's real gross looking and real, yeah, like the piece that she wore was, I was like, man, no, I don't know who did it, but it looked really good, and she keeps like picking at it and it's bleeding and it's gross. And she ends up like licking the blood, and anyway, she ends up fainting. Yeah. So now we cut back to Cassie, and she gets some water from the fridge because she's like, man, these are crazy stories. Because she's sitting there watching this all on the TV, hosted by this weird uh, guy in corpse paint who's really hard to understand. Like every time I was just like, what? Because I don't know, it was garbled. So now we cut to story number 5. This one's called Beneath, and this one is about a girl named Amanda, and she learns that her boyfriend Mike has put a sexy video of them online. So she sets him up uh, for revenge, basically. And there's also a teddy bear involved. Um, I'm not going to go too much more into it though. Uh, but I will say that this was probably my favorite of all the stories. Um, the performances were really, really good, and even though it was kind of a preposterous situation, it worked. So now we cut to story number 6, which is called "I Waited for You," and it's about this girl named Ryan who has a bunch of finals in the morning, so she doesn't want to go out. Her friend comes over and she's like, "Hey, we have to go out." Blah blah blah. Anyway, she convinces her to go out. Ryan ends up losing her cell phone in a cab. So so she's calling it from her friend's phone. This guy picks up and he's like, "I like your pictures, you're a pretty girl," and all this like weird stuff. And then she ends up going home, and her phone is actually lying on her bed. Yeah. All right. So now we cut back to the Cassie storyline. She's still hoping her phone will work. She kind of plays with it occasionally, but still no juice. And then the viewer on the TV, that's what they call him, the viewer. I don't remember if I mentioned that or not. Um, he goes, "Cassie," kind of thing, and then it cuts to the last story called Matrishka. So Matrishka happens at a Halloween party, and this girl named Carol shows up, and she shows up in a hot dog costume, this little cheap hot dog costume. And they make fun of her and stuff, and you know. So they end up playing this game called the nesting game, and it's basically like a game of hot potato, but with the little Matrishka doll, which is like one of those ones you keep opening it up. It's the different levels. It's a nesting doll. You keep opening it up. Um, so Carol starts having all this like stomach pain and stuff as as the doll keeps going around the room. And then there's a really cool sequence, kind of reminiscent of Alien. That's all I'm gonna say. If you know, you know. So now we cut back finally to Cassie one more time for the big finale. It's all stat. The TV's all staticky now, so she taps it, and she goes and looks behind it, and she sees that it's been unplugged the entire time. It's never been plugged in. So then she kind of like starts backing up in fright, I guess you could say, and then she starts finding uh, pieces of the story she just saw. Like she found the teddy bear, and she finds the Matrishka doll. Yeah, so overall, this movie's pretty good. The first 3 stories to me uh, were just kind of wasted. I mean, okay, maybe not the one with the baby monitor. That one was slightly interesting. They could have done a little more with it, I thought. But it really started kicking in after those first 3. And then they started getting progressively better. I do want to give shout outs to Catherine Lill, who played the lady that has the mastectomy. Fantastic performance from her. And Alyssa Booth, who plays Amanda in the Beneath story. Um, I thought she did a heck of a job as well. I was really impressed by her. I thought Michelle Nunez also did a nice job as Cassie, because at first you just like, oh, this is just some punk kid, but you end up kind of feeling for her toward the end. So overall, man, I would give this one 3 out of 5 bats. It's definitely worth a look if you like anthology movies. So the whole thing was pretty much put together by Manny and Lindsay Serrano. Um, they were basically the directors, the writers, the producers. The whole thing. A couple of them, couple of the stories were co-written with other people, but that it seems to be that those two were the main driving forces behind the movie. But yeah, pretty good movie, and it's only an hour and 14 minutes, so it's not a heavy load or anything. So yeah, give it a shot. It's if you did get it in HorrorPack, yeah, go ahead and watch this one. I did enjoy it. Um, so yeah, that's Dark Tales from Channel X. All right, so that's all I have for you today. Remember to stay spooky. Peace.